and welcome. In this video we'll take a look at CADWorx Structure. I'll show you how to create a simple steel frame using a grid to help lay out the steel, but we'll also look at how to create some more complex components including stairs and handrails to add access platforms. So let's take a look. So on launching CADWorx Structure for the very first time, once again we see the initial drawing environment dialog box. Here I'm going to choose metric for my drawing environment and hit close. Now we see the CADWorx ribbon. So on the ribbon, as with the other modules, we have the setup dialog box, which is a key window, and within the CADWorx Structure setup dialog box, amongst other things, we can select the structure library that we want to use containing the member sizes. Here I've got the AISC metric catalogue and metric units. There are also rules available in CADWorx Structure. The rule which I'm going to have active is the automatic coping rule, and I'm going to select bolted coping with a 15mm distance for the trimming of the steel. So let's start placing some members. In order to assist with placing these steel members, I'm going to start by placing a grid. I'll place a very simple grid, which I can specify the columns and rows using the panel shown here. So I'm going to hit the plus button to add in another column, and the distance between each column will be 2.5 meters. And I'll hit plus again, and you see the 2.5 meters column to column distance is copied across. You can also enter in the overall distance from the origin, which is again automatically calculated. The two fields are linked. So I'm going to add 4 columns in the vertical direction, and the horizontal direction I will place some more columns, once again 2.5 meter spacing between columns, and I will add 3, 4, 5 columns. So a very simple grid, 4 by 5, each with 2.5 meter spacing. And I'm going to insert that grid at the coordinates 0, 0, 0. And if I zoom extends, there we see the grid. So let's switch to an isometric view and a shaded visual style. And I can close the grid palette. I can close the grid palette, and now I can add some steel members. So the shapes icon is the main window, is the main panel where we can insert these steel members. So within the shapes panel, as you can see, first of all we choose the section type from the various section shapes available, and for each section selected the appropriate section data tables from the catalogue are populated. So let's place some members. I'm going to place some I-beams from the wide flange table, and I'm going to choose W8 by 28. So you can scroll down the list or you can type in the filter at the top. W8 by 28, I'll pick a material, angle 0, and the cardinal point, the insert point, will be the center. I'm also going to classify these in groups as a column. So these will be columns, and they will be placed on the columns layer. Now I can insert the steel. There are a number of ways to actually insert the steel into the drawing. Picking points, selecting lines, secondary framing, and so forth. I'm going to choose column length. All of these columns will be 3.5 meters high. So I'll insert, and the prompt is then at the command prompt, enter the column length, which I will type in 3.5 meters. I can now pick points on screen. Of course, I have the grid there to assist with that, but there is also an option for grid. And I will choose the grid option and make a selection of the grid. And members are automatically inserted at the intersection points of all of the grid lines. So these three here I can get rid of. I will just erase those. Let's now place some beams. So I want slightly smaller members, W8x10 from the list, A36 material, and this time the cardinal insert point will be the top center. But these will be the beams, so let's classify them in the beams group and on the beams layer. And this time I will place by beam elevation. Hit insert, and the beams will be on top of the columns, so that will be an elevation of 3.5 meters as well. Now I need to select columns. The order in which the columns are selected is important. Selecting two columns, CADWorx will place the structure, the beams, between those two columns. Like so. So I'm going to select all of the outer columns at the corners. And as you can see, because we have our automatic coping turned on, the connections are placed automatically wherever the beam meets the column. I could continue and place in that manner for the rest of the beams, or alternatively, you can just use the standard copy command, which is what I'm going to do here. So I will select the 4 beams in the Y direction and just use the standard copy command. I know the spacing is 2.5 meters, so I'll just copy this 2.5 meters and hit R for repeat to repeat the copy. And then I will copy once more in the other direction. Again, we know the spacing is 2.5 meters, so let's just copy 2.5 meters. Hit the R for repeat and place the remaining steel members. Once more, all the coping is done automatically. And there is our frame, simple frame, already completed. Let's now place some base plates so I can close the shapes. And base plates are classed as what we call area objects. So I'll pick area objects, and there's different types of area objects: grating, decking, floor slab, walls, or plates. So I'll hit plates, and the different type of plates we can place: base plate, structural, gusset, or end plates. Well, I will choose base plates. And the base plates, these can be templated. So picking a template from the library will populate all of the data in the various different sections. We have the general properties, the whole properties, and detailed description and tagging properties. However, I'm going to do one on the fly from scratch, not using a template. So I'll clear out the template, and instead of entering in the length and width, I will tick the column extents checkbox. Checking that allows me to simply make the base plate a certain amount larger than the column that we will select. And that will be 200 mm larger than the column. I'm also going to change the base plate thickness. Instead of 3/8 of an inch, I'm going to choose a 1/2 inch thick base plate, which is 12.5 mm thick. Yes, these will be plates, base plates. You can add stiffeners and bolts automatically to the base plates. Before I pick the bolts though, let's add the bolt holes. So 4 holes, 2 rows and 2 columns, but the spacing of 50 mm needs adjust. And let's adjust that to 300 mm spacing between each hole, and the holes will be 20 mm diameter. And then to insert, well, we can again pick points, or we can select existing columns. So let's select the columns. I'll choose to insert, and I'm just going to spin around to the side view to make selecting the columns a little easier. Hit enter and choose the extrusion direction. And there we see our base plates with holes on each column. Okay, so the main part of the steel frame is complete. I can close the area objects palette. Let's now add some more detail, starting with access platforms. So I will copy these 4 members and associated base plates, and I'll copy these columns 1.5 meters in the Y direction, like so. Now for the next few parts with adding the additional members, I'm going to turn on this option here, snap to cardinal point. What this means is, when I go to insert some more steel members, and I'll stick with the same W8x10 members for beams, this time I will insert by picking points. Now when I go to insert, as you can see, the snap points that get picked up, and this is my ordinary end point, midpoint snaps, doesn't snap to the steel solid, it only snaps to the cardinal point that was used when placing the steel. So that makes placement much easier, much less chance of picking the wrong snap point. So I'll just place 3 members here, plus one additional one for extra support at the midpoint, like so. And for the second platform, that's going to be half height, so I'm going to adjust these 2 members so that they're half height. So I can do this by clicking the grip, dragging, and as long as I pick some snap point at the correct elevation, so the midpoint of any of these columns will be suitable. Or for the second one, of course, I could pick the height of the first one that we shrunk. And then I'll insert the remaining beams as necessary for the lower platform. So there are my 2 platforms. Now we can add in some handrails. So we want some stairways, some handrails, and some flooring, some grating. I'll do these with the handrails first, as I said. So the stairs, handrails, and also ladders, they're all assemblies. So I'm going to the assemblies icon, and then I'm going to choose to place a handrail first of all. Now stairs, ladders, handrails, all types of assemblies, these are all templated as with the base plates. There are a couple of templates supplied out of the box. Of course you can create your own template, and the template fills in all of these parameters here, plus there are advanced properties under the advanced properties button here where you can control all aspects of the handrail, the rails themselves, the connection or end conditions, and also the members used for the posts and the toe plate and base plates as relevant. So I'm going to stick with the standard 1050mm handrail, and I'm going to insert by picking points. Again, with the snap to cardinal point turned on, this becomes very easy, and I'm going to trace around the edge of the platform, which will be, I'll start from here on the access platform, and it's not going to be on my handrail, my platform is not going to be the full top of the frame. I'm going to go to here instead, leaving one bay open, and then tracing around the edge where the platform will be, where the handrail will be located, and enter to finish. There's my handrail. Of course, as with anything here, I can double click. Anything in CADWorx Structure, you can double click, open up the palette that was used to create, and I can make changes here. For example, if I go to the advanced properties, and maybe I want to change the end conditions of the top and the midpoints, maybe I'll add these with a sphere. And maybe change the post spacing. 2.4 meters is a little large, so I'll just adjust that to 1.5 meters. Apply that and close the window, and the handrail is recreated. Okay, let's insert the second handrail on the lower platform, and I'll do this in 2 stages. First of all, the outer one, and then separately the inner handrail. Now I've done that as 2 separate items because of course this is now clashing with the column, so I need to make some adjustments. That's very, very easy to do. I can just select the handrail, grab hold of the grip, and I can choose to make various adjustments, including moving of the post. And I'll move the post, and let's say I'll move this, let's say 250 millimeters. And I'll say, yes, I do want to recalculate the handrail post spacing. Now I'll repeat this on the other side. Use the grip to move 250 millimeters, and yes, recalculate the handrail. Like so. And then for the separate handrail, I could also do the same thing. Moving 200 this time. Like so. So there's our handrail complete, yet it is not clashing with the columns. Right, so there's our handrail around the platforms. Now we need some way to access those platforms. So let's add some stairways. From the assemblies panel, I'll go to stairs. And I'll choose, well, I don't want cylindrical or spherical stairs. This time I want straight stairs. As with the handrails, the stairways, they're also templated. There are, again, a number of templates available out of the box. So I'm going to use the 750mm stair from platform to platform. As you can see, all the information is complete. The one thing I will change will be the insert position. I'll make that to be the center. I want an automatic handrail on the stairs, so I make sure the box is ticked. That all looks good. And therefore the only thing to choose is the insert location, or the insert method. I'll insert by members, and I'll choose to insert, and I simply pick the two members at the top and bottom of the stairs. So I'll pick the top member first, and where along that member do I want to insert? Or let's just pick the midpoint. And then where's the bottom? Second member, I pick the bottom one, like so. And there's my stairway between the two platforms. I'll open that up in a second so we can actually access it. But first, let's place the next stairway. Okay, so the next stair will be, instead of the platform to platform, I'll place a platform to slab, so the bottom conditions of the stair will be slightly different in this case, available under the Advanced Properties page. And this time the insert method will be by member height direction. So I will insert onto this member here. Once again, I'll keep this in the middle. And a point to define the height, I'll pick some point at floor level. And then pick a point for direction, it will be in this direction. There's my stairway. Slightly off center because the insert position is left. But again, as with anything, double click on the stair, make any changes necessary, change it to center, and hit apply. And the stair now moves into position. So I'll close the two pallets and finish the stairs and handrails by opening the handrails using this function here on the ribbon, Open Handrail. Open Handrail, really, really simple. Simply select the handrail that you wish to open, which will be, for example, this one, and then pick 2 points to define the opening. So I'm just going to snap to the ends of the stair handrail. The handrail is opened and recalculated. So I'll repeat here, open this handrail, this is the opening, and finally repeat once more at the top, open the top handrail and pick the opening on the stairs. Like so. Okay, let's finish off this steel frame. We've got the stairs, we've got the handrail, we just need the grating on the platform. Now, this is a little bit easier if I hide the existing handrail on the top level. So I'm just using the BricsCAD quad to hide those entities. And then under Area Objects is where we get the grating. I'm going to choose Grating. 32mm grating, and I'm happy with the defaults from the template. You can choose, if you wish, to show a detailed representation of the grating. I'm going to leave that unchecked for the moment. To place a simplified representation, and I'm going to insert by picking points. The points, of course, will be those same points that we used for the handrail. I'm just going to trace those same points along the top of the frame. And enter to finish. There's my grating. As I said, we can double click, tick the box to change the representation to be the detailed representation. You can change this, turn this on and off, switch back and forth as often as is required. So there's my detailed grating. And I'll do one final thing by inserting, this time by members, on the bottom platform. And when you're picking members, you don't need to trace the whole perimeter. I just can pick two ends. And there's my bottom platform. And let's turn the detail grating on. And we'll complete by bringing back the handrail that we isolated using the unisolate function. And there is my completed platform with access, grating and handrails. And there we have our simple steel frame, including the access platforms and the stairways. Why not take a look at some of the other assemblies that are available, or the bracing, or some of the structural connections that we have available. Remember, if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us.